Hello, my friends. Dr. Mandell here. Today we're talking about one of the most underrated, forgotten vegetables on the planet, beets. This humble root has some of the most powerful nutrients ever studied for blood flow, arterial function, and overall cardiovascular health. And what's amazing is most people walk right past beets in the grocery store without realizing how much life-changing power is sitting right there. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the science, the benefits, and exactly how you can start using beets today to support healthier arteries and better circulation. For decades, heart disease has silently taken more lives than any other condition on Earth, claiming one person every 34 seconds. But hidden beneath the soil, inside a humble red root most people overlook, lies one of nature's most powerful tools for supporting healthier arteries and restoring the very molecule your blood vessels crave. It's not a pill. It's not a medical breakthrough. It's a nutrient your ancestors consumed daily, but the modern world has nearly forgotten, and it all begins with something so simple: nitrates. When you take a bite of a beet or sip its deep red juice, your body begins a chain reaction so elegant and so vital that scientists call it one of the greatest chemical miracles occurring inside human physiology. These natural dietary nitrates, found in high concentration in beets, enter your bloodstream and begin transforming into a molecule that determines the life, elasticity, and youthfulness of your arteries: nitric oxide. This is the same molecule awarded the Nobel Prize in 1998 for its profound role in cardiovascular function. Nitric oxide is the gas that tells your blood vessels to relax, expand, and open. It's what allows blood to move smoothly like a river instead of struggling through arteries that have become stiff, narrow, and inflamed over time. And yet most people never realize that nitric oxide doesn't stay in the body for long. In fact, it disappears in less than 2 minutes. That means your body must constantly create it, every hour, every minute, every breath you take. But here's the problem. By the time you reach age 50, your natural nitric oxide production can drop by more than 50%. By age 70, it can fall by over 75%. This is one of the hidden reasons why circulation weakens with age, why blood pressure rises, and why the heart has to work harder year after year. The body simply loses its ability to generate enough nitric oxide to keep the vascular system young, flexible, and resilient. But when nitrates from beets enter the picture, something remarkable happens. As soon as these nitrates touch your tongue, natural bacteria begin converting them into nitrites. Those nitrites travel into the stomach, then the bloodstream, where they are converted into nitric oxide, a molecule so critical that without it, life itself could not continue. Scientists have watched in controlled laboratory studies as beet consumption triggered measurable increases in nitric oxide within hours. In one study from the University of Exeter, participants who drank beetroot juice increased their nitric oxide levels significantly and experienced measurable improvements in blood flow and vessel dilation. Another study published in the journal Hypertension showed that people who consume beet juice experienced improved arterial function that lasted for several hours after a single serving. These are not small changes. These are biological shifts that influence how efficiently blood moves through every artery in your body, from your brain to your heart to your legs and fingertips. When nitric oxide rises, arteries soften. They relax, they open, blood carries more oxygen, tissues breathe easier, muscles perform better, and the heart isn't forced to push as hard with each beat. That's why elite athletes around the world have adopted beetroot juice as a performance enhancer, not because it's a trend, but because the science is undeniable. Increased nitric oxide means improved oxygen delivery. Improved oxygen delivery means better stamina. Better stamina means a heart that pumps more efficiently with less strain. And if athletes use beets for temporary competitive advantages, imagine what that means for someone who simply wants better circulation, more energy, or healthier aging. The most astonishing part? This entire transformation is triggered by a vegetable so inexpensive, so accessible, and so gentle on the body that it seems almost too simple to make such a profound difference. But nature doesn't work through complexity. It works through subtlety, through powerful compounds hidden in everyday foods, compounds we once consumed naturally, but have slowly removed from our diets as processed foods replaced real nutrition. The average person today gets a fraction of the nitrates their grandparents consumed naturally. And the result is a population struggling with vascular stiffness, reduced circulation, and chronic inflammation that could have been softened, if only nature's nitrate source had stayed on the plate. When people hear nitrates, they sometimes think of processed meats. But those are synthetic nitrates combined with preservatives, salt, and chemicals. The nitrates in beets are natural, plant-bound, and paired with antioxidants that help the body use them safely and efficiently. These natural nitrates become fuel for nitric oxide, the same life-supporting molecule that widens arteries, supports healthy blood flow, and keeps the cardiovascular system functioning smoothly. But the story doesn't end there. The nitric oxide boost from beets doesn't just affect arteries, it affects the endothelial cells, the microscopic cells lining every blood vessel in your body. These cells act like sensors, responding to every change in your environment, your diet, your stress, your sleep. When nitric oxide is high, endothelial cells thrive. They stay flexible, responsive, and youthful. But when nitric oxide is low, these same cells become rigid and vulnerable to damage from inflammation and oxidative stress. Research from the Cleveland Clinic shows that endothelial dysfunction is one of the earliest warning signs of cardiovascular issues, often developing years before symptoms appear. And yet nature gave us a way to nourish these cells directly, through the nitrate to nitric oxide pathway found abundantly in beets. Every sip of beet juice, every bite of roasted beets, every spoonful of beet powder. All of it feeds the system that keeps your arteries supple, relaxed, and open. And this is why cultures that consumed nitrate-rich vegetables traditionally experienced lower rates of cardiovascular decline. They weren't chasing miracle cures. They were simply eating real foods that supported the body's natural chemistry. Today, science is finally catching up to what ancient traditions understood intuitively. The foods grown in the earth carry the compounds that heal the systems inside us. And beets may be one of the most powerful of them all. But only if we return them to our plates, our glasses, and our daily routines. Your arteries are waiting. Your cells are waiting. Your heart is waiting for that boost of nitric oxide it once produced effortlessly. And the answer, hidden in plain sight, is a simple red root that nature designed to nourish the pathways time tries to steal away. Most people walk past beets in the grocery store without ever realizing they're ignoring one of the most extraordinary plants ever discovered for vascular health. In a world filled with pills, treatments, and high-tech medical solutions, it's almost unbelievable that something growing quietly beneath the ground could hold properties that support smoother blood flow, stronger arteries, and a healthier cardiovascular system. But beets are not ordinary. They are exceptional in a way that nearly no other vegetable can match. Because inside this simple root lies a combination of nutrients, antioxidants, and blood flow-boosting compounds so unique, scientists often describe beets as a vascular support system in a vegetable. The truth is, humanity once depended on foods like beets for survival. Ancient civilizations consumed them not for taste, but because they noticed how these roots strengthened energy, stamina, and overall vitality. Roman soldiers drank beet broth before battle. Early healers used beet extracts to support endurance and reduce fatigue. And yet today, in the modern world, these traditions have almost disappeared, despite scientific research confirming what ancient cultures already knew. The reason beets are special begins with a simple fact. They don't just nourish the body with vitamins or minerals, they fuel a biological pathway that supports the very foundation of cardiovascular function. While many foods deliver antioxidants, and many deliver fiber, beets deliver something that is becoming more essential with each passing decade of your life: nitric oxide precursors that encourage blood vessels to relax, soften, and widen naturally. But that's only the beginning of beets' uniqueness. Researchers discovered that beets contain one of the richest concentrations of betalains, rare pigments that create the deep red color and also deliver powerful antioxidant activity. Betalains are so potent that in laboratory experiments they've been shown to help reduce oxidative stress, which is one of the core drivers of arterial aging. These pigments support the body's natural anti-inflammatory processes, helping shield the delicate lining of blood vessels from daily wear, tear, stress, and environmental toxins. Most vegetables don't contain betalains. Even the ones that do typically have only trace amounts. Beets, on the other hand, are overflowing with them. And this is where the science becomes astonishing. The inner lining of your arteries, called the endothelium, is incredibly sensitive. It reacts to inflammation, to stress, to blood sugar fluctuations, to toxins, and even to emotional tension. When this lining becomes inflamed or irritated, it stiffens, and when it stiffens, blood flow weakens. But betalains help protect this endothelial layer, supporting smoother flow, healthier vessel flexibility, and a more youthful vascular system. Scientists have measured this effect, observing that the compounds in beets can promote healthier endothelial function, something that medications often attempt to support. But beets do it naturally, gently, and in harmony with the body's own chemistry. Yet their uniqueness doesn't stop here. Inside beets is another rare compound called betaine. Betaine helps the body process homocysteine, an amino acid that, when elevated, can irritate blood vessels and contribute to vascular stress. In healthier populations that consume beet-rich diets, researchers consistently found better homocysteine management and healthier arterial markers. This means beets don't only support the widening of arteries through nitric oxide, they may also support the reduction of internal irritants that put stress on those arteries in the first place. Imagine one vegetable working on both sides of the problem, supporting vessel relaxation while helping the body manage compounds that can increase vascular tension. That alone makes beets stand apart from almost every vegetable in the produce aisle. But there's something even more shocking. People often try to improve circulation by drinking more water or exercising more. While these choices are incredibly valuable, most people have no idea that blood flow is significantly impacted by the thickness or viscosity of the blood itself. Studies show that certain plant compounds can support healthier blood viscosity, potentially allowing blood to travel through narrow passages more effectively. Beets contain naturally occurring polyphenols that scientists believe may support smoother, more efficient circulation. In simple terms, beets may help your blood flow with less resistance, like a river moving gently rather than a stream struggling through rocks. Athletes around the world have taken advantage of this for years. Olympic teams, endurance runners, and cyclists use beet juice before events to support better oxygen delivery. That's right, beets can help the body transport oxygen more efficiently. This isn't a myth. This is measured through increased plasma nitrate levels, enhanced oxygen utilization, and improved exercise performance. If beets can help professional athletes perform at higher levels, imagine what they can do for someone simply trying to walk longer, stay energized, or support their heart health. But there is one more reason beets stand out, something even more people overlook. The modern diet is almost completely stripped of natural nitrates, antioxidants, fiber, and plant pigments. Our ancestors consumed hundreds of different plant compounds every week. Today, most people rotate the same 5 vegetables over and over again, missing out on the diverse nutrition the body needs to protect its arteries from aging. Beets are one of the few remaining vegetables that deliver a wide spectrum of nutrients in one powerful package. Antioxidants that protect, fiber that cleanses, nitrates that support blood flow, minerals that energize, and plant pigments that strengthen cellular resilience. When you eat beets, you're not just giving your body a food, you're giving it a tool, a biological instrument designed by nature to support circulation, energy, and vitality from the inside out. That's why cultures that still eat nitrate-rich vegetables have significantly healthier vascular aging compared to populations consuming modern processed diets. And that's why research continues to highlight beets as one of the most functional foods ever studied for circulation. No other vegetable replicates the exact blend of compounds found in beets. No other vegetable delivers nitrate, nitrite, nitric oxide pathways alongside betalains, antioxidants, polyphenols, and betaine in one place. And no other vegetable impacts circulation, energy, endurance, nitric oxide, inflammation, and blood vessel lining all at once in the same way. Beets are not powerful because they are trendy. They are powerful because they offer something the modern world desperately needs: support for the cardiovascular pathways that time, stress, and diet weaken year after year. This is why beets are special. This is why they stand alone. And this is why returning them to your daily life may be one of the simplest, most impactful choices you ever make for your arteries, your energy, and your long-term vitality. For years, scientists searched for the hidden key that keeps human arteries youthful, elastic, and able to deliver life-giving blood to every organ. They studied populations with extraordinary cardiovascular longevity. They analyzed ancient diets. They examined molecular pathways inside endothelial cells. And again, the trail kept leading back to one molecule. A molecule so important that without it, arteries would seize, blood pressure would skyrocket, and oxygen would struggle to reach the heart and brain. That molecule is nitric oxide. When nitric oxide levels fall, the vascular system begins to age rapidly. The arteries stiffen, the blood thickens, circulation slows, and the risk of cardiovascular complications rises dramatically. But here is the shocking part. Scientists have discovered that your nitric oxide levels don't decline gradually, they plummet. By midlife, your ability to produce nitric oxide may have already dropped by more than half. By older age, it can fall to a fraction of what your body once produced in your youth. And yet, the medical community rarely talks about this. Most people are walking around with arteries that are starving for nitric oxide without even knowing it. But this is where the science takes an extraordinary turn, because research began showing that beets, one of the simplest vegetables in nature, could support a pathway that restores nitric oxide back into the bloodstream in a matter of hours. Clinical studies observed that when people consumed beet juice, their plasma nitrate and nitrite levels surged. These compounds acted as raw material for nitric oxide, giving the body the tools it needs to relax and widen blood vessels naturally. Researchers measured these changes using ultrasound technology and found that artery dilation, the ability of vessels to expand when needed, improved after beet consumption. This wasn't a small effect, it was measurable, reproducible, scientifically undeniable. In a world where many treatments attempt to assist blood flow by force, beets support it by nourishment. One study found that within just a few hours of drinking beet juice, participants experienced improvements in nitric oxide availability that lasted throughout the day. Scientists recorded increases in vascular dilation and smoother blood flow, effects that support the heart's ability to pump without strain. Another study from Queen Mary University of London found shocking results. People who consumed nitrate-rich beet juice supported healthier vascular function over a single day compared to those given a placebo. Their arteries responded more efficiently, their vessel walls relaxed more readily, their circulation flowed more freely, and this was achieved not through chemicals or synthetic compounds, but through a vegetable nearly all of us overlook. But the science didn't stop there. Researchers were fascinated by the possibility that a simple dietary change could support cardiovascular performance in such a striking way. So they expanded their studies to include athletes, older adults, and people with declining circulation. What they found was astonishing. Athletes experienced enhanced oxygen delivery to muscles, allowing them to perform longer and with less fatigue. This wasn't a placebo effect. Scientists measured oxygen utilization directly. With beets, the body needed less oxygen to perform the same amount of work. That meant the muscles were being fed more efficiently. And for aging populations, where circulation is often compromised, this discovery changed everything. Improved nitric oxide production supported better blood flow to the heart, to the brain, and to the extremities. The implications ripple across the entire cardiovascular system. Better blood flow means more oxygen reaching tissues. More oxygen means more energy. More energy means a stronger heart, a more resilient brain, and improved stamina for everyday life. But what stunned scientists the most was how quickly the effects could occur. Unlike some dietary habits that take weeks or months to influence health, the nitrite-nitrite-nitric oxide pathway activated by beets can begin working the very same day you consume them. This immediate physiological response is one reason beets captured the attention of researchers studying vascular performance. It wasn't just the long-term benefits, it was the speed. However, one finding stood out above all. As people age, the natural nitric oxide producing cells in the arteries weaken. The enzyme responsible for producing nitric oxide, called ENOS, becomes less efficient. In other words, the body loses its own ability to generate this critical molecule. But beets support a separate pathway, independent of the body's declining enzyme activity. This means even as aging reduces your internal nitric oxide production, beets provide the raw materials for your body to produce it through an alternative route. It's like giving your circulation a second chance, a backup system, a way to maintain flow even when the primary pathway slows down. And this discovery is one of the reasons nitric oxide boosting foods, especially beets, have become a focus in cardiovascular research around the world. Scientists also uncovered another layer of this story, one that shocked even the experts. They found that people who consume nitrate-rich vegetables had healthier blood pressure responses during physical and emotional stress. Stress causes the arteries to constrict. but nitric oxide helps them relax. This means the nitrate pathway supported by beets doesn't only influence resting circulation, it helps the cardiovascular system stay calmer and more stable during everyday stressors. Modern life exposes people to chronic stress that elevates pressure on the heart day after day. Nitric oxide helps buffer this, and beets nourish nitric oxide. The science paints a clear picture. Supporting nitric oxide through natural nitrate-rich foods may help the cardiovascular system function more efficiently, respond more intelligently, and adapt more gracefully to the pressures of aging and stress. But researchers went further. They looked at how beets influence the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell responsible for producing energy. What they found was remarkable. Higher nitric oxide levels allow mitochondria to generate energy more efficiently. That means beets don't just support circulation, they support the body's ability to produce energy at the cellular level. More efficient mitochondria mean less fatigue, better endurance, and improved overall vitality. Scientists were stunned that one vegetable could influence so many systems at once: the arteries, the blood flow, the oxygen supply, and the cellular engines powering every organ. But nature designed beets with a complexity that nutrition science is only now beginning to uncover. And perhaps the most humbling part of this scientific journey is this: the solution was always there, growing in the soil, waiting to be rediscovered. In the end, the science surrounding beets is not about hype. It is about evidence. Evidence showing that nature has given us foods with the power to nourish the very systems that keep us alive. Your heart beats 100,000 times a day. Your blood travels 60,000 miles through your arteries and veins. Every drop depends on circulation, on the ability of blood vessels to open and respond with ease. And beets, through the science of nitric oxide, support the very mechanism your cardiovascular system relies on. This is not a trend, this is biology. This is the science you should know.